Welcome back, Mr. Goodberry. The First Star Logistics studio is fully equipped and ready to record.
Welcome back to Bengals on the Brain, episode 61, presented by First Star Logistics. We're going to continue with the offensive line evaluations in the draft with a guy that I wanted to do last week, but there wasn't the film. I wasn't expected to cut through the film as much as I had to. I even had to go back to 2022 games, so I cut it all up for you. Amarius Mims, the offensive tackle from Georgia, who played right tackle, absolutely massive dude. But I had to go back because he's only started like 8 games in his career. We've got about 1 season worth of snaps out of 3 seasons. So there's some games where he is playing 14 snaps and then he's out. So I had to go through the tape, cut those out, and then put them all into one video for you so I don't waste your time too much. And we'll jump into that. And then when we watch the film afterwards, because now I've watched all of the top tackles, I think there is a line of we would take this guy at 18, we would not take this guy at 18. And then that's where the decisions start to get made. And then we've got some questions too that people ask that pertain to the subject, which we will get to after the film. All right, Amarius Mims, the tackle out of Georgia, number 65. I think we've had an offensive lineman from Georgia, number 65 before. Clint Bowling wore 65, right? Doesn't matter. Let's move on to the film. That's how my mind works. Okay, so you're going to see him first of all right here. This is from, I want to say 2022. Most of these games will be. And you're going to see his size, his length, his power is going to be on display. That's him moving that D tackle inside, and then the run goes up off his back. And you're going to see they're going to run behind him a lot. That power is definitely there. That length is definitely there. And you're going to see at times also, we'll pause it here, he will stand straight up and down and allow guys to get underneath him. When you are a tall offensive lineman, and I'm talking the guys that are plus 6'5", this tends to be an issue for O-line and D-line. It's you're blocking guys that are shorter than you a lot of times, and it can become an issue. Same thing in space. So as you're pulling him, all right, and you need to break down in space here and hit this linebacker that's scraping over the top. Even when you're a good athlete, it's hard to block those 6'2", 230-pound linebackers that are so much smaller than you are. But man, can you fold some defensive tackles like that right there? That's him on the ground. Let me go back, right? Can you fold some defensive tackles on these combo blocks, on these double teams here with his guard? And that guy bends. So if you want to add power, which we do, we've talked about this. I'd love to add size, athleticism, and power to that position. So can we get that? We're a little Ole here on this screen. That's him down on the left as he goes up to climb up and get a safety and just ragdolls 29 as he should because he's so big. But that's great to see. It's great to see you can even make contact with that guy. All right. And I want to go back just a little bit here. You'll watch him. He'll block this defensive end, block him inside. But as he gets tall and kind of lazy at the end, the DN works his way in and makes a tackle. And now the same thing is going to happen again as he's down blocking on this D tackle. The D tackle ends up working his way inside and getting the tackle at the line of scrimmage. So I think leverage is an issue for him at times. But you see when he gets his hands on guys, how they bend and the contact affects them. You don't always say that with a guy like Jonah Williams, right? The contact doesn't always affect those guys. But the guys we've watched recently, whether that's Latham out of Alabama or Fuaga out of Oregon State, the contact affects the defenders, no doubt about it, because these guys are big and strong. Like, same thing there. Just getting a single hand punch knocks these guys off balance. While the play's going the other way, I wanted to include that one to show it. And you see there, right? Same thing as this D tackle scraping across and coming out in front of Latham, or I'm sorry, it's not Latham, in front of Mims. I like the way he gets his hand on him and then absorbs him. And then as he gets to the spot right here, they're only rushing 3, so we should have a lot of time. But I mean, there is nothing there. That guy can't even get off his hands. And look at the right guard come in to get a piece. Nice catch out there. I mean, he moves that guy as well. That D end for Oregon moves him. And this is last year. So he's even younger. He's 20 years old in this game because he's 21. I mean, absolutely folds this end. Not only does he push him back and outside and then works his way back inside to wall him off as the defender works his way inside. Power. He is definitely strong. Like right there, this would have been an RPO or a situation where they could have handed this off. And the way he climbed up to the second level. So at first he's gonna help out his guard here. Let's see, can he knock this guy off balance? He does. I mean, he 77 over pursued this, and Mims was able to throw him over to 77 to his partner. Watch this again. 77's going too far upfield here. At this point, usually that D tackle will split the two of them and it causes issues, and you never get to the second level linebacker. Watch how Mims throws that D tackle over back to 77 and then climbs up to get the linebacker. I mean, that is some strength. It's also some awareness. I thought I saw a lot of, hey, this guy's only started how many games? He only played 800 snaps in his college career. Like, he actually looks good in a lot of mental, fundamental ways. Good balance there, right? Get his hands on him, be able to sit down. That doesn't have a really great rush plan because we've got a play action and kind of a rolling pocket, which is just going to work for Mims completely. Let him get his hands on these guys. Look at those hands inside. Look at the balance. I mean, that's perfect. You've got nothing on him there. And you're not going to outlength him, I think. We don't have his official size and measurements in just yet, but this is the way you're going to beat him, I think, is confusing him a little bit of an inexperience. Also going back inside on him because his footwork is a little bit choppier. His legs, his feet, looks like he wears size 20-inch or size 20 shoes. I think you can change direction on him a little bit. He's going to pull out here and get some on this linebacker. I think it's linebacker. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And falls on him to make it worse at the end. But look at the contact, right? Look at the power off that. That guy's neck snapped back. All right, we're on South Carolina now. And I believe this is 2022 as well. A little bit of good awareness here to see the blitz coming back in. And again, this is last year. This is when he was 20, not this previous last year, 2 years ago. So it's good there. You see his eyes inside right away. Then we've got movement. He's checking on him. No, he's going to go outside. Okay, I've got to go in and help and push in that number 91 there. And man, watch how 91 folds on this. He and that right guard are just, I mean, it's just slight contact. And when you see that's, I don't want to overemphasize this, but I want to. When you see a lineman get one hand on these guys and they bend and they crumple and it knocks them off balance, you're like, that dude's powerful. That's how you can tell. So here we're landing one punch to the shoulder, and now he's going to try and throw by him. Yeah, good luck. Good luck. He's not moving. I want to say in his career now, he's never given up a sack, and he's only given up like 8 pressures in his entire Georgia career. So there's none I can show you. He's just walling off this guy, just sealing it completely. Here, running back, you go. First contact you're going to have is with a safety because he's that kind of run blocker. Pull him outside, make contact, wall him off, flip your hips, turn, get your back to the running back, and shove that guy for another 6-7 yards. Looks like he tweaked something on that, though, which may be par for the course for him, injuries and all that. Foot slips on this next one. So I think it's the very next play also. If you watch him get out here, he's going to absorb this contact, try and plant that right foot down, and it's going to slip out if you're wondering why he ends up like that. So a little bit of confusion there, I think, maybe. Or is it a sign of good awareness to be so he's like, okay, they're widening out this way. There may be a guy that's coming free here. But then the center picks up the D tackle and the guard picks up 91. And then now I can go out and pick up the edge guy. And we get the ball off to the back of the end zone. So good job. They did what they had to do, just got just enough there. Alabama versus Georgia now. Again, more throwing a guy inside and then walling him off, just stoning him. And it's a bootleg play, so the guy kind of gives up after the defender gives up. But here in Brock Bowers, look at how can we get both these guys? Can we both of them here? Is that too much to ask for? Get Mims and Bowers. They climb up and get a linebacker. I mean, good luck. Good luck, pal. Yeah, wall them off. See, this is again power but length. Why is power and length? People say length's overrated. It it may be overrated, but when you have it and watch them here, watch how these two guys connect, right? Bang. Now they're both going to try and lock each other out because the D end wants to keep you in there, and any run that goes to the outside, I have positioning for it. But if you're Mims, no, the running back's going to run right up my back here. So I need to be able to lock you out and not give up any ground because the DN's going to say this: I'm going to lock you out. And if the running back goes behind you, I'm going to shove you inside and shove you right into the hole, right into the running back's path. And we've seen that happen to Jonah Williams, right? Because he doesn't have that mass and that length. So not only does he lock him out, he's turned him now. And the guard does the same thing. So this hole is absolutely massive. But look, I mean, that D end is in great position. He is locking him out. That arm is locked out into his chest. He's bending him back, and yet no ground is given up by Mims. So full speed play here. He's big enough, long enough, strong enough. And look at him celebrating. He knows he did it. Great block. Passing it off here. And you see the one hand absorb too, man. So as he throws him inside, I mean, he launches that guy in. And now you got to reset. Very little movement or very little open space around your feet. So you got to get out of here. Because look, you could easily get tied up, right? So mark of an athlete, work one direction, come back the other way, get a hand on him, get your feet back to where you need to be, and be in position. If 73 wasn't getting blown up into the quarterback's lap, this would be a great block by the right tackle. Instead, some may say, well, he lost there at the end. Well, he's not expecting his quarterback to start running out of the right side. So again, he sees it right away, right? Right away he sees, okay, we got a stunt happening here. Let me go and grab the D tackle so that the guard can readjust and have time to pick up the D end. And now from here, they usually convert to power. Usually on stunts, you'll usually see the next move is power from a D lineman. So can you absorb it and lock it up and balance? Yes, you can. Does a great job actually. So the film is limited, clearly, right? You'll find some clips on Twitter and YouTube, and there's full games on YouTube where you can get more of an idea. But to me, it looks all very similar. I would love to see 500 more pass reps out of them to be completely comfortable, um, because it's hard to say what a guy is when you get a handful of games this season, a handful of games, or splitting games. It's hard to be sure. And Georgia was dominant, and there was times he's playing against backups because the game is out of hand. Um, but he looks good. And Mims is 6'7", 340 pounds. He's listed as. He looks like he's going to have 35-inch arms, if not plus, at the combine. And is he going to test at the combine? Is he healthy enough to test at the combine? Like, what is the status? What is the situation for a guy who's dealt with injuries? And is that a guy you can take? So we're going to get into the first. Let me finish Mims. So I think he looks like an athlete. I think he looks like a clearly powerful body wise is what you would draw up for a right tackle. And it's good that this entire class has right tackles, number one, available, because a lot of times it's left tackles that you're wondering if you have to move. And then the other side is they're all big. Almost all of them are huge. The Pro Bowl average size and all pro average size is 320 into 325 pounds for tackles. These guys are all added or clearing it, which is great. It's what I want. You want to get a guy with prototypical athleticism size and then the film to match. With Mims, you have flashes of film. You have, yeah, I think so. If that's who he is, I think he'll be fine. If he can stay healthy, I think he'll be fine. Nothing. I don't think any of these have been major injuries too. I haven't read it completely. I just was looking at the games missed and going, okay. Um, yes. So let's rank these guys because I feel pretty good that we're not going to have anyone else jump into the first round unless something crazy happens. But at the top, the guys we don't expect to be there because so far you guys have said that with everyone we've watched. Oh, Newton's not going to be there. And now Newton's projected to be there. Actually, I just saw a couple mock drafts this week where he wasn't in the first round, and these are big name guys. Brock Bowers isn't going to be there. First video we did draft season. Now there's mocks with Brock Bowers going there. Not saying I'm right. I'm just saying you have to be open to all of these. But the two guys I'm not open to, and I don't think it'll happen, is Joe Alt and Olufashano. So Joe Alt of Notre Dame, Olufashano of Penn State. I did watch them. I only real quick watched 2 quick games. Didn't stop, start, and do all that because I didn't expect them to be there. And I just wanted to be sure that they looked like that. And they do. I think Alt looks like a guy that goes top 10 in every single draft. He's got the size, he's got the athleticism, he's got the technique, the consistency, everything looks good. Like if we picked 8th, I'd be like, let's trade up to 6 to make sure we get him 5, whatever it has to be. I would be all for Joel Alt. Olafashanu, again, body wise, looks great. I mean, he looks like Tyron Smith, to be honest with you, the way he's cut, the way he's shaped, the way he moves. Maybe not so much the way he moves. Tyron was a freak, but close. I think he'll be close to that. Better run blocker now than pass blocker, I think. It just wasn't tested as much as I would like to see. But I think he goes top 12 in pretty much every draft. So I don't think we should expect him to be there or even in the range at 18. Then to me, it's Latham. JC Latham is the next one out of Alabama. We're talking about a guy who's 20 years old on film last year and looked really, really good. And he's got the size and the power and the intelligence and the balance. Even if he is if I want him to hit to like a 65 percentile athlete, and then I'd be comfortable and cool with that. Although, if you want a Pro Bowl guy, your chances are much better if you draft an 80th percentile or higher athlete. I don't know if he'll hit that. Even weight adjusted, size adjusted, I don't know if he'll hit that. I just need him to be better than average or just at average, and I can probably say, okay, yeah, let's take him. And if he does, that probably helps the chances that he's there at 18. So I do like JC Latham a lot, and I have concerns with his testing because what that says about his profile. And we'll get into that much more, so you have an idea of why I care about this so much and what the numbers mean. Um, and then you get to Tally Fuaga out of Oregon State. Very similar to Latham, in my opinion. But we don't know his age, so I can't age adjust for him. That is a component right now to the evaluation because doing it at 20 versus doing it at 23, if that's the gap, is a much different thing. Um, but I do like him, and I think he's powerful and he's nasty, and he blocks at the second level, and you can pull with him better than you can with Latham, which I think with Amarius Mims you can do that more than you can with Latham as well. So while a guy can be a big, powerful, nasty run blocker, can I get to the second level? Can I block linebackers? Can I pull him and get him out in space, and will he make contact with a player rather than just be a big shadow running out there? That's scary, but I got to get your hands on him. Um, I think Fuaga and Mims are both better than Latham in that because I think the three are similar in a lot of ways. We're talking about big, strong, powerful dudes that are going to have more concerns in pass pro. I think Latham's the best in pass protection out of the three. I think then it's probably Mims, then Fuaga, where I think run blocking and may go Fuaga, Latham, then Mims. So I have Mims third of this group. And for me, not just on film third, the profile may be third. If he doesn't test at the combine, will he test at his pro day? I hope we get a testing. And why that matters so much of a guy who doesn't test throughout history, not history. I went back all the way to 2002. Let's say this correctly. I went back all the way to 2002 and looked at all of the Pro Bowlers and what they tested before the draft. And your chances in the first 2 rounds, especially of drafting a Pro Bowler that tests over an 80th percentile, 27% chance of drafting a Pro Bowler. So you got a 1 in 4, a little bit better than 1 in 4 chance. That's a solid a solid range. You almost have a 50% chance just in the first round. So if you take an elite athlete in the first round, you get a flip of a coin that he'll be a Pro Bowl player. And now, like Jonah Williams, what didn't hit that mark. Billy Price never tested. Cedric Ogbuehi never tested. Jackson Carman never tested. So if you don't test, you have a 17% chance. No, I'm sorry. First round, don't test. You have a 29% chance if you don't test in the first round rather than a 48% chance. The difference was 10% from 27% in the first 2 rounds of drafting an elite athlete, of finding a Pro Bowler, down to 17% if you don't draft a guy that is tested in just the second and third rounds. I mean, we're dropping down to 1% chance. So all those guys that don't test, that go top 10 because they know they're going top 10, that make the Pro Bowl, fine. They're completely killing this data set. But I hope that makes sense to you. Your chances of finding a Pro Bowler, if they don't test, drop dramatically, especially if you're not picking top 10, because most of those guys came from the top 10. If you draft an 80th or better percentile athlete in the first round, you've got a flip of a coin. So Latham, if he doesn't hit 80th percentile, I want that flip of a coin. If Mims does not test, really drops his percentile, 17%. Do we want to take that? Do you want to take an offensive lineman just because he's an offensive lineman? Or do you want the best possible chance to get a Pro Bowl or all pro type player? And if you fall on that side of the coin, then the next guy might be Jackson Powers Johnson, the center guard out of Oregon, who honestly looks fantastic. His film, as good as, in my opinion, Olufashano, that's going to go top 12, but he's an interior guy. The top centers go 20th, highest possible. Frank Ragnow, right? We've had guards go super high. Quentin Nelson went in the top 10, but centers do not. So if you're at 18, you're talking about picking a level prospect at center with the chances, and I think he's going to test like an elite athlete. Plus, he's 325. So maybe that's some of that is an adjustment, but I think he's going to be over the 80th percentile. Flip of a coin that you got a Pro Bowl guard or center because of it? Or are you going to take Mims? That could be a big risk because we don't have a complete profile. Or are you going to take Latham that maybe doesn't test? And this is a conversation we're going to have way more in depth when we get there, because we got the combine and pro days and all of that is going to be part of the conversation. But it's important, and that's why it's important. You want to take the least amount of risk as possible, especially with these high value picks in the first round. And that answers a couple of the questions that I did get on Bengals on the Brain, which I'll go into just a little bit more. People went on bengalsonthebrain.com and asked a few questions because they were looking for those bobbleheads too. And some people just, had questions for me, which is great. You can do that always. bengalsonthebrain.com. Make sure I say that correctly. But they were saying, what are the Bengals' issues with drafting on the offensive line? Why have they been so bad? That's why I listed Jonah not testing like a high-end athlete, not having good size. He was small. So all these guys are big. And then Billy Price, Cedric Ogbuehi, Jackson Carman did not test at all. Plus Billy Price was small. Plus Jackson Carman had short arms. Plus Cedric Ogbuehi was 305. Jake Fisher also small. And then you get to some of the later picks, guys like Trey Hill, horrible athlete. Hakeem Adeniji, small. They have not taken anyone. Deontay Smith, small and average athlete. They haven't taken anyone that should have hit yet in a long time. You may say, how about Andrew Whitworth? He wasn't a great athlete. He was 90th percentile athlete, and he was huge. Kevin Zeitler, decent athlete, great size. Clint Bowling, but we're talking 4th round pick. So what are they missing? They're missing the data set. They're taking risks on guys that you shouldn't take risks on. Let's have the full profile. If you're just only going off the tape, and some advice from your buddies, that is a bad process. And that's how you miss on these guys. So Alt, Fashanu, Latham, Fuaga, Mims. And there's a chance none of them are there. They all could go top 18, top 17. Are you ready to pivot to Jackson Powers Johnson? I think I'll show the tape on that next time. Until then, this has been Bengals on the Brain, presented by First Star Logistics. I'm your host, Joe Goodberry. Hooday.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.